Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ravens Outpost. Tonight we have a very special guest, a good friend, Mr. Max Powers. How are you tonight, Max?
I'm darn good. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. I can't complain, man. Can't complain. So, what's been going on? Been out in the woods, been out in the field anymore?
Oh, you know what? I have got two things coming at me here. Hold on just 1 second.
Okay. You do what you got to do, man.
I got to figure out what's going on here.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna say hey to everybody in chat. Ray Dahl, how are you doing? Nana Boss Continuum, how are you doing tonight? Central Florida Bigfoot, how are you doing tonight? Maggie Dorr, how are you?
Oh, that's why. There we go. Sorry about that. I was hearing it from another place and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
Oh, do you have the channel pulled up?
I must have. I just closed out every other window. Eventually it went away. So, all right. Can we start over?
Yeah, absolutely. Go wherever you want to, man.
Now that I can hear what you're saying, instead of, it was like it was like there were 5 channels open. It just kept repeating and repeating. Anyway, we're done with that.
All that feedback, it's great.
Yeah. So, it's been a long time, actually. I'm trying to think when the last time I talked to you was. It was a while ago.
I was doing an investigation into animal mutilations.
That's right.
And I talked to you about that, and you give me a little advice about that.
Don't ever take anything I say as advice.
Well,
take it as my opinion, and I probably screwed something up along the way.
Oh, no, you stirred me in the right direction, man. You really did. You helped me a lot. You and a couple other people, but you mostly, especially where that was concerned, because I've never had to deal with anything like that before. And as a matter of fact, in that property, there's still stuff going on. There's been a face-to-face encounter with an in-law to the people I was helping out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, about a 10-foot Sasquatch step out in the driveway.
Wow.
While this guy's out there putting stuff in his trunk and ready to leave. And he turns around, he puts something in his trunk, he turns around, this guy's standing there. I mean, this
wow.
Bigfoot is standing there and just towering over him. And he's like, holy shit.
That's probably an understatement, but
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Because what would you do in a situation like that? I have no idea.
Well, he said he turned around and looked, and the guy and he's standing there and just turns around and just walks away like it's no big deal. Okay, you see me, so what?
Yeah, that's. If these things are out there, I think part of their existence is totally just to mess with our heads. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they try.
Oh, I know.
And I say if, but I'm also one of those people who actually knows that they're out there. So
yeah,
and
being an experiencer and a knower, not just a believer, is a big difference. There's a lot of people who are enthusiasts and like to say, yeah, I believe they're out there, but when you know they are, it's a totally different ballgame. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is. And I have this group of guys who I go out with like once a year down in Florida, so I can't go out with them all the time. And I'm a knower, and one of them really wants to see one. Well, 2 of them really want to see them. And they're like, well, do these, they keep asking questions. And all I've got is my word. All I've got is my word that I saw something. And these guys are trying like hell to see them. One guy's wife saw one. So he knows, she's not going to lie to him. But boy, oh boy, they're trying like hell to see them. The thing is, they're trying like hell to see these things. So they're probably two of the best Bigfooters around right now. And I get to go out with them, which is good.
Do they have a Do they have a YouTube channel?
One does not, never will, probably. Seriously, is just in it to find it. He's the kind of guy who has no problems going out and spending, a week in the woods. We spent a month in the Green Swamp looking for this thing, and he was there every minute. It's the kind of guy who, like, we'd be out and we could find unbelievable evidence, and the thing that footprints, all kinds of stuff like that. When we get to those areas, that he's like, let's just stay here and see what we find. And you kind of hunker down and hang out for a day or so, trying to hear. So when you go with him, you got to be ready. But he's a real live Bigfooter, no BS. Just
nice.
Let's find it.
Yeah.
So
I remember the days of being able to get out here like 2 or 3 times a week, 3-4 hours at a time. Habituating certain sites with just my scent, just trying to make contact. Yeah, I'd like to go back to those days.
It takes time.
It really does.
It takes time and money, because if you're out there, you're spending money. It takes gas to get there. It takes all these things, but you're not working while you're out there. So.
Exactly, you're costing yourself money. I talked to somebody the other day who was telling me that he wrapped up so much time and money into field research one year. He told me how much he spent out of his own pocket. I mean, he's not getting paid to do any of this. The number, man, he told me just blew my mind. I'm like, holy crap, really? He told me he spent out of his pocket to do field research $27,000 of his own money. It's like, where the hell did all that come from? That's a no. Ain't no way I could do that. But I've talked to a couple other people who do this and who are academics and have looked into doing this, and they don't get no funding. You can't get funding from a university to do this. So they're doing fundraisers and all this other stuff and spending buku bucks for this to get out here and do this research. I mean, it's just crazy.
What people spend is amazing. Like the amount of money that those two guys I was just talking about spend to be out there, between equipment, between taking time off, between just gas money. If your research area is 3 hours from your house, that's in today's money. You probably got 4-wheel drive, which means you're getting 10, 15 miles to the gallon tops.
Yep.
So you're spending money to get there. So.
I mean, and the same thing goes with any other type of paranormal research you're doing. You've got these hot spots that you want to check out and trying to get this proof or this evidence, or trying to experience something for yourself so you can, be knowledgeable on the subject. You go into these places, you're going across the country, you're hitting this part and this part, and then you got to set up, you've got all this equipment you got to have. And what I find funny is nowadays you're using the same equipment to hunt Sasquatch as you're hunting ghosts now. You're looking at FLIRs and EMF detectors, and some guys are using Geiger counters now. It's just nuts.
Can you buy a Geiger counter?
Yeah, actually you can.
Oh, all right. I can't afford one, I'm telling you that right now.
I can't afford a FLIR. Who can afford a FLIR? $3,000 for a handheld. The little handheld.
Oh yeah, forget that. I'm the guy who'll stand there and squint. Well, I guess you don't need your hand over your head at night, but I'll stand and squint and be like, "Is that something moving over there?"
Yeah, I eyeball it, or I use dowsing rods. I'm not kidding you.
I don't think yeah. there'd be a learning curve there that I probably couldn't handle with the dowsing rods. But
Well,
not that I don't believe in them, but
it's weird. It's weird when you feel them turn in your hand all by themselves. It's like, whoa.
I don't know. I don't know.
Some people can do it. Some people can't. I hand them off to a buddy of mine. We were doing research, investigating a buddy's house. So they thought they heard a little boy in the house. I'm like, okay, we'll check it out. And there was a couple of times I was holding the rods, and they just crossed right there in my hands. And he's like, bullshit. I said, no, man. Here, you want to try them? And he's gripping. I said, don't grip them too tight. You got to let them hold loose in your hands and just kind of hang there and just walk steady. I said, sometimes you can tilt your hand and cause it to shift, but you got to learn how to hold them firm but not too tight. You know what I'm saying? But if you can do it, it's a weird sensation. That's all I'm saying.
No,
But
I'm not against that stuff. In fact, like this little thing I just pulled out. This is Moldavite. And I'm wearing Moldavite these days because I think I lost that connection that I once had. So I'm trying to get it open back up. The first piece of Moldavite disappeared, which probably meant I wasn't quite ready for it. So I understand that stuff, and I believe it. With this one, the first night I had it, I dreamed of a rainbow pit viper, like bright colored. And they say that that's an opening of the spiritual realm, but that's about all I'm getting from it. That and like a little bit of jitters every now and then. Like I hadn't worn it in a few days. I put it on today, and my heart kind of got, I don't know. But
really,
so I can't scoff at any of that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of those people, but
right.
I'm a little bit of a doubting Thomas on not so much the methods, but some of the people who do it. Is that fair enough to say?
Absolutely. I get it. I do.
Okay. So, but if you told me something was going on with your dowsing rods, I would believe you.
Well, I appreciate that. Not a lot of other people would. Like, oh, really? You're full of shit. No, I don't know. Whatever, dude. Whatever.
I don't. So I finally, I don't know if you saw me looking off this way. I finally got the comments, and I had them on separate screens.
Okay.
And I had to turn my head too far. I told you I had trouble with that, but I've got the comments up here, so I can see them and talk to you without turning my head now.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at what's going on over here.
What is going on in the chat? I haven't been anything good.
Let's see. People talking about
spending money. Ray Doss spends money on Bigfoot hunting.
Ray.
Yeah, Central Florida Bigfoot. That's one of the guys I was talking about who I go out with down in Florida. I know he spends a ton of money Bigfooting. I hope his wife isn't watching. Sorry.
Oopsie.
Whoops. Sorry,
boy.
Becky. So,
when it comes to that stuff, I'm always touching on the subjects that other people scoff away from. It's what most people consider the woo. And me personally, I think the woo is just a science we just don't know yet. And I just look at Nikola Tesla when, the energy, frequency, vibration, when that comes to that.
3, 6, 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Love Tesla.
He's my boy, man. I'd love to have met him. It's a damn
really
shame.
And Elon Musk with his Tesla company
Mm-hmm.
And where I made that leap here, if you saw the Joe Rogan interview with Elon Musk, at one point he just starts going off in this almost like a trance speech, and his eyes are just going back and forth, and he's monotone, and it's just coming like out without any intonation. It's just these straight words coming out of his mouth, and he's talking almost like he's in a trance. And
Mm-hmm.
Tesla, they say, used to go into a trance.
Mm-hmm.
So did Mr. Musk figure out what Tesla was doing, and is he mimicking that? Like, not, and I don't mean mimicking in a condescending way. I mean, like, trying to emulate that, trying to repeat that, trying to figure out what he did, and using similar tactics. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me either, and it would be smart of him if he did.
It would be. I'd love to know how to get there.
I mean,
I don't need the billions. I just would like to know how to get there.
Exactly. I mean, the thought of free energy across the world was really nice. I think that's what got him killed to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go down that rabbit hole.
It is a big rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
The hydrogen engines, hydrogen cars. Every few years, someone comes up with these hydrogen engines, like some mechanic, behind his house in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
Just Google man in Florida, and odds are that's going to come up. But these people do that, and then all of a sudden you don't hear anything about them. They just fall off the face of the earth. Are they being bought off by energy companies? Am I now a conspiracy theorist because I don't like being one of those? But there's weird shit that happens in the world. Pardon my language.
No, feel free to drop them bombs if you want to.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. I'm really good at it.
It's all right.
I'll try not, just so I don't offend anyone.
If you're brave enough to hang on till the second hour, you'll see. I usually keep it kind of toned down the first hour, second hour on Saturdays. I'll let her fly. But anyway, what's that? What's up, Rick?
That's a name that the Purple Hobbit.
Yeah.
He's on an awful lot of chats that I'm in.
He is.
Sometimes I just sit back and watch, but I think that has more to do with my typing than my shyness.
Him and Ray are my two OGs here. When I was just getting this channel started, doing my lives and all that, they were always here. So sometimes it'd just be the three of us.
I like those chats better because I can keep up with them. Too many people, I'm not really good at anymore.
Then this is another one. Buck, he's been around. He's a good friend now. He's been on a couple of times too, talking about stuff. He's an interesting fellow. You should meet him.
Dude, if he's out there looking for Dog Man, I want nothing to do with him. You can do it. Tell me all you want about it, but there's no way in hell I'm going to your woods. That's all I'm saying. That's nuts. If I find that Dog Man is real, I'm done. I'm out. No. That was my biggest fear as a kid was werewolves. The movie Silver Bullet, I think I was like 12, and I didn't sleep after that at all. Bigfoot was out my window. I had no problem with it. But werewolves, no way.
What's this fella's name? This fella, his name is Dark. He goes by Dark Waters. You familiar who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He had his own YouTube channel. I kind of lost touch with him for a while, but he would tell stories in relation to people's encounters and whatnot, and he was really good about it. But he had his own Dogman encounter, and he would refer to these beings as crypto terrorists.
Crypto terrorists, absolutely.
Because that's what they like to do, is scare the shit out of people. Evidently. Oh, yeah. Nana says I'm not going anywhere near Dogman
Yeah,
territory.
no way. I'm with you, Nana. Someone just come on, Eric. You're losing your credibility there. You're talking about a show on Fox and saying it was really good. I don't know about that. Isn't that why it's on Fox? Because it didn't make the other three networks. Didn't make it HBO cut. I don't know. I'm just picking on Fox right now. I'm sorry.
No, let's go ahead. You pick on Fox.
Not necessarily the news channel. I don't want to upset anyone out there. I'm picking on Fox Network.
What's it? Let's see. Chuck Connors was in that. Do you remember the old werewolf series that was on Fox? Chuck Connors was in that. The rifleman.
Really?
Yeah, he was the bad guy. He was the old werewolf who had changed the young one.
Yeah, you look at the rifleman. He was a decent looking guy. You look at Chuck Connors old. You don't want to go anywhere near him.
He was rough.
Yeah.
So, he was rough.
I'm probably gonna piss someone off tonight. I'm sorry. Just calling it like I see it, you know?
No apologies, man. No apologies. You let it flow. Just let it flow.
So, Nona's asking about my investigation with the Mid-Florida. Not Central Florida, Mid-Florida team. So, I don't know if you saw that. Tim T put a video up. I haven't put my video up yet. It's taken me a little longer. I just switched from a Mac format to a Chrome format, and I did that without ever learning anything about how to use Chrome. So
it's a different animal, man.
Things are taking me a little longer. But there's a long story as to how I went out with those guys. Being down in Florida, I had been out with Chris Connor. Chris Connor has started using, and Chris Reinhardt. They're people I talk to, fairly often. And we kind of sync up, but not necessarily in all our beliefs. And that's okay. I think you need to talk to people who don't have the same beliefs as you or thoughts on things as you, or you don't ever get anywhere. So if you're wrong and everyone around you is saying the same thing and they're wrong, you're not making any progress. But anyway, so Tim T had been going out with Chris Connor. Tim T started using an RF meter, specifically RF. Tim T uses a tri-field meter, but it has the RF setting on it. I don't necessarily believe in that. And this actually kind of is a huge conversation because Lee, you were talking about the woo, and there's a belief I have that's kind of tied into that. But I'll go on to the Tim T video the other day. They go out and they use this meter, and they are talking about this meter going off when they find footprints, when they find structures, and the reason I went out with them. There's a lot of hate in the Bigfoot world these days, right? A lot of people yelling at each other. A lot of people telling people how they're doing stuff wrong. It's not your way, it's my way. So
gotta love that.
I don't necessarily believe in the RF meter. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I've been down to Florida for 3 years, like over the winter. Every time I come back, I need a new iPhone. Each time I come back from that swamp, my iPhone shits the bed. So this time, last time I didn't have any insurance on it. This time I went out, came out of the woods, and actually 2 of them. I had this old iPhone I was using as a camera from years ago, and my new iPhone. The old one disappeared. The old one didn't disappear. All the video on it disappeared. The new one just stopped working. In fact, Matt, who's in chat now, Central Florida Bigfoot, who I've been talking to on the phone for years, called me and it said, "Do you want to add Matt as a contact?" So weird stuff happens. when you talk to the people in Florida who go out in the green swamp, something goes on with phones. They go wild. They make phone calls when they're locked. They just start playing music when they're locked. Weird stuff happens, and it happens to a ton of people out there. And for the most part, I think they're iPhones. So that's the thing that goes off, like with me, is that maybe it's limited to iPhones. I found out when I got back and my phone wasn't working that when I brought it into the store, the moisture sensor, they're like, yeah, no, this isn't covered.
Mm-hmm.
So I used the insurance that I had to get out of that phone and get into. I now have a Google Pixel because I'm sick of buying a new, iPhone every year.
Right.
Or it's
Mm-hmm.
it's more than every year, actually. It's been 3 and 2 years. You haven't heard shit's the bed, Bray Doc? Come on, that's common. So I went out with these guys mostly because I stopped by to visit them one day. I was camping in the woods. They were at the park next to me. And they were going on a hike, so I stopped by to say hello. If I'm taking too long with this story, let me know.
No, let her fly. Let her fly, man.
I'm long-winded.
No,
So
no, no, no.
these guys put up on Facebook, oh, the latest member of our team. And I didn't necessarily want to be associated with the woo. It's not that I don't believe woo's out there. It's that I have different ideas on the woo. So I, at that point, had to make a decision. Do I distance myself by saying, oh, you guys are crazy, blah, 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 like everybody else in the damn Bigfoot world right now? And, 20 ways to yell at them, 20 ways to prove them wrong. But how can you do that without going out and looking at what they're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
So the first person I talked to about it was Chris Connor. Chris Connor is someone I've been in the woods with. Chris Connor is someone who's doing this. Chris Connor is someone who has an understanding of radio frequencies. So I went out with him, and he showed me. And he took me out to this one structure. And the amazing thing was that he was able to tell me, listen, when we get here, and I shut the truck off, and we're about to get out of the truck, this thing's going to go crazy. And then it's not going to happen. And then when we get over to that structure, it's going to spike, but not the way it did in the truck. And so we shut the truck off. He shut the truck off. And all of a sudden the meter goes off. Everything that he said would happen, happened. But through the course of that day, we couldn't get it to, it was just like a morning meeting, before lunch. We couldn't get it to do it again anywhere. So I go and meet another group, like, hey, thanks. Chris does a video, puts that up. That's out there on the interweb somewhere. And I go to meet this guy, Ron, who is the huge Bigfooter I was talking about, the guy who, like, this guy's hardcore. And we went out in the woods, and I picked up my phone to look for, like, a trail map or something, and the battery was completely dead. So I had been charging it all morning. Is it because my iPhone's messed up? I don't know. Then I look at my watch, and my watch had stopped. Are these things related? I don't have an answer for you. When I went out with Tim's team, which was, maybe a couple days later, again, we could not get that meter to go off. Even when we got to paranormal areas and switched it from the RF to the EMF, it had very little spikes. But at one point, Tim T from Florida, he says, it's kind of funny when we get back to the truck and start talking and not looking at anything, it's going to go crazy. And again, here's someone who knew what would happen. And he said that the truck was parked about where it was the last time they were out, and that happened. Same thing happened. We got back to the truck, and it went crazy. So are these things Bigfoot related? Because these people, and we were looking for Bigfoot stuff and paranormal stuff while we're out there. And we couldn't necessarily get it to do that. Couldn't get it to go off. regularly. But both of these groups that used them knew exactly where they would go off, and it wasn't necessarily Bigfoot related. So is this just a superfluous, like, bursts? Could it be something else that's doing it? You know, I don't know. I don't know. But that's my whole story on that. So other than the fact of what I think it really is, but that's another can of worms.
Yeah.
So.
You can get into it if you want to. If you don't feel like it, that's cool too.
Nana, I think I saw that. I know Tim heard it, and I haven't heard it yet. I have to go back and try and listen. I think Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot said he heard it too. And he's usually pretty analytical on that stuff. So if he heard it, that's an interesting thing. Matt and I, last year on our trip into the swamp, got a bunch of EMFs that Ruger Ridge pointed. Is it all right that I name drop? I just talk about these people like I know them.
No, go ahead.
You know what I mean? And I do. Ruger Ridge was listening to our videos. He's like, do you hear those voices? Is that you guys talking? And they were all kinds of EMFs. So is it Bigfoot? Is it something else? And that's kind of that other can of worms I was talking about. What else would it be? So
I find it interesting too that, you know, a lot of paranormal goes hand in hand with the Sasquatch sightings, or if you have a UFO sighting, sometimes you'll have a Sasquatch sighting, or vice versa. Where I did that investigation, all three were involved with the animal mutilations, strange lights, orbs, ghost activity. She contacted me about 2 weeks ago and told me her and her sister on 2 separate occasions have seen a full-bodied apparition in her house. And then they have the Sasquatch, who I believe is watching their children. They have one autistic child.
Okay.
And that I personally think that just shines like a beacon, and it's attracting a lot of this stuff that's going on, personally. And the fact that she's also sensitive. I think she's a medium level sensitive, but she's like, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. She shuts it down. But I think she's sensitive enough, and she's to where she attracts it whether she wants it or not, you know?
Okay.
And I asked her if she was cool with the Squatch and all like that, the Sasquatch being out there, and she's like, well, they're not bothering us. If they wanted to bother us, they would have done it so already. So I think until something happens, I guess we're cool. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And there's a lot of people who wouldn't be that way, but I think what happened is she's had stuff like this in her life since she was in her mid-teens.
Okay.
You know, there's something always been going on. That's why I say she's sensitive, and like I said, medium level sensitive. But she's used to it. It doesn't bother her. So
I don't know. I don't know if you ever watched my channel. I know we've talked. I know we've emailed. I know we've texted back and forth.
This is actually the first time you and I
we've had a real talk.
Yeah.
It's always little bits and blurbs on something else.
I know.
When I was a kid. Oh crap! I hate talking about this. I hate talking about this on other channels, and I have to say that I'm not necessarily a wooer, right?
Right.
But I totally am. When I was a little kid, we had 1,200 acres up in New Hampshire, and it was connected to all kinds of wildlife areas. I'm trying the words for those, wildlife management areas. And so it was literally like hundreds of thousands of acres. One of the other things about this area is it was not far. When I say not far, like half a mile from the Appalachian Trail. So, and there's a lot of people who say there's a relationship there. But I was a little kid, and I had an imaginary friend out my window in the woods of New Hampshire on 1,200 acres. And he used to tell me things about the woods without actually speaking. And so, like, my dad was a pretty observant guy, and he would pick up on these things. Like, we'd be out on a hike. My dad would say, well, do you want to go along the river, or do you want to take the ridge trail? And I'd say, oh, we have to take the ridge trail because there's bears by the river. And, he's like, how do you know that? But yeah, okay, so we'll take the ridge trail. And from the ridge trail, you could see the river. And on this particular day, there was a mama and her 2 cubs. So he's like, wow, I'm glad we took the ridge trail, but I'm freaked out that my kid knows that. And so my family tells the story as Bigfoot was my imaginary friend. I never saw him until I was 13 or 14. And it was not far from that ridge trail that I was just talking about. But when I was a kid, they would find me in the middle of winter with my window wide open, talking to something out the window. I used to leave him gifts. He would leave me gifts. And it was, no one knows what it was. I don't know what it was, Do I think it was Bigfoot? Maybe. I don't know. Was it something else? I don't know. But there's weird shit in the woods. So,
indeed.
But I was a kid, and I was very open to this thing. And I hear a lot of other stories. I know Chris Connor from Trail to Bigfoot, who I mentioned before. He and his sister, who are part of that Trail to Bigfoot team, had seen a Bigfoot as a kid, and now they're having experiences as they're older. And there are a couple other researchers that I've met and talked to that had experiences with Bigfoot as a child, who also, again, have them later in life. So I don't know what it is, but I know that. Does anyone remember, what were the 2 guys, Greg and Justin, out in Colorado? He was the guy who was rock hounding, and he found, got screamed at. His kid, if you ever watch his kid in the old videos, the kid is like, oh, there he is right there. Behind that, he just stuck his head out. This kid could see them. He knew all about them, and he would tell his dad stuff about them. So, our kids, I don't know if this kid's on the spectrum. I don't know what is going on, but I know I was, or am. So is there a correlation there? Are they open to that? Is there a communication to that? Is it even Bigfoot? I don't know.
Right. Now, that I have a theory about that. Now, I used to think that once, and this is how my theory went, I used to think that once you had some type of paranormal encounter, you were marked for some reason. And that's the only way I had to explain it. But as my education toward all this is furthered, and I'm a little bit more stooped in all this, I have the feeling that it's more has to do with our own personal vibrational frequency and how our mindset is toward these type of things. Children are at a different vibrational frequency than we are as adults, and I do believe that's a reason why they're able to see spirits or have more encounters than we do, and not all the time they're having conversations with people. They're not imaginary friends, they're actually seeing something. But that's just my theory. Now, when I was doing the investigation, it's at the very end of the video, I'm talking to both Heather and Matt. They've got their kids around them, and their littlest one is saying, "Well, Daddy, there was a time that there was a knock at the door, and we went to see, and there wasn't anybody there." And that right away, because the former house that I lived in, it was haunted by something. I'm not sure what it was. It was very poltergeist in nature, but it was also intelligent, which is weird. Anyhow, I experienced the exact same thing. The knock at the door, nothing there, and that set off my warning bells. And I said, "This ain't over." And after I quit rolling camera, I told them, I said, "You guys need to just be a little vigilant to understand that this isn't over. I don't think it's over by a long shot." And I said, "Why?" "Because your children are seeing stuff." I said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I don't want to be an alarmist. I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything like that. I'm just saying, kids are sensitive, and your child is seeing stuff. She just admitted it." And so, come about 4 months later, she gets in touch with me and tells me that the stuff is still going on, and it's narrowed down some and intensified in other areas where it was just of sound here and there. Now she's, like I said, she's seeing full-bodied apparitions in the house, and Sasquatch is right literally on her doorstep. So I don't know, and it's, to me, it just makes sense. And like I said, I keep going back to it, and I think that is, the quantum physics is going to be our tool to figure out what all the hell's going on. I mean, I'm no physicist, but I'm learning about certain areas of it, and it's showing me that there are certain levels here that we can access through that study. I mean, what do you think? I mean, am I way off base?
No, in fact, that's kind of where I'm going with this other Bigfoot, and so quantum physics, and the ability to manifest, right? Now, the manifesting thing is kind of an earthy, crunchy side of quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
But, with shows like Finding Bigfoot and what's that other one, Expedition Bigfoot, and just the level of awareness out there, and the number of people that are now out in the woods, right? And Amy Bruni from the Travel Channel, or is it the Travel Channel? Anyway, she's got one of those shows,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
ghost
know.
hunting shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She has this theory on egregores, and there was this really interesting show that was not far from where I live right now, this house in Taunton, Massachusetts, where the ghost was giving people exactly what they were looking for. And so she went in and she experimented and basically told the ghost what it was she was looking for. And the ghost started to give her that. And I guess there's a few now paranormal researchers who are finding that um, these things are happening regularly. So the ghosts if people go in expecting 3 knocks, they hear 3 knocks. Amy Bruni is going as far as calling it an egregore, but it's more of a psychological egregore, and there's a book on it that I can't remember the title to. But it's very interesting to hear. And egregores, they're in the Bible and they're in, ancient Sumerian texts, and they go hand in hand with Nephilim and all the way back to, uh, those people who lived on that planet that went by. You know the one I'm talking about that I can't remember the name of. But now we've got all these people in the woods looking for Bigfoot. I mean, last summer was laughable. Me being in the White Mountains, miles and miles out in the woods, and hearing like families Bigfooting, knocking, whooping, all that stuff. Is that energy being projected? And whatever these egregore things are they then giving us what we're looking for? And is it a completely different thing? Because most of, in the Bigfoot world anyway, most of these things that we say Bigfoot does are completely unsubstantiated.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean there's not a Bigfoot,
Right.
right? I know there's a Bigfoot out there. I know he's got big feet. I've got footprints that I can show people. But are our misconceptions of what Bigfoot is actually manifesting themselves into all this woo evidence? That's my question. And I think there's far more evidence to support that than there is to say that this thing is a multi-dimensional being that, is a UFO pilot and all these things that we're saying about it. I have no proof of any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe that if we find Bigfoot, it's going to be through this incremental science where we go and look at the footprints and actually figure this out, and go and look at hair samples if we actually have any hair samples. It's a hard thing to do, to match up DNA to something that we don't have any DNA from.
Mm-hmm.
But all these things, science can have those, and they can prove them incrementally, and they can prove the existence of something.
Mm-hmm.
But this other stuff I think is paranormal, but I don't think it's Bigfoot. Does that make sense?
Right. That makes perfect sense.
Does that tick anyone off? I should have warned you before I came on. Every time I open my mouth on my channel, I lose viewers. So hopefully that won't happen with you.
It's okay. But it's okay. I don't. I really don't think they're going anywhere. They might say, "Oh, I'm out of here," but all right. It is what it is.
It's your channel, not mine. So.
Don't worry about it.
You can get the nasty emails.
You speak your mind, brother. Don't be afraid to say what you think.
Well, that was what I think. But I really haven't put that theory out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I might have told a few people, shorter versions of that. But I would love to know what people think on that. Am I just a dumbass? Because that's entirely possible, and that probably can actually be proven. But
see, that's just my personal opinion. But, opinions are like assholes.
That's right.
And I think it falls pretty close to what I've been thinking. I think a lot of this paranormal activity that's going on with the Sasquatch is just that. I mean, I don't necessarily believe it's all them doing it. I've constantly said there's a lot more stuff out there in the woods than Sasquatch, and a lot of stuff out there you got to be more aware of and probably fearful of than Sasquatch. I'm not saying you don't have to be fearful of Sasquatch. I'm just saying there's things out there that probably would scare you more if you knew what the hell they were. And it's just energies, man. Sometimes they're probably not of this world. Maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or just some type of manifestation of what is already naturally here that we just haven't been able to catalog or document.
Right. You have to go back thousands of years to find stuff that makes an attempt at documenting that.
Yeah. Thousands of years.
Yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Where's your mind going?
Well, speaking of that, you and I were talking off camera before, and you said you'd went to Harvard and to study archaeology. I mean, how many people out here actually know that?
Maybe Central Florida Bigfoot. But he paid attention in his archaeology classes. So
he paid attention.
He did. I did not. I thought too much. I was actually told that.
So, I mean, when I first started down this road with the forest folk, the cryptids, I wanted to know who they were, what they were, what is their meaning to being here? Kind of like us, you know. And it led me to that question, and I kept going back further and further and further, and started turning over rocks, you know. And let me tell you, some of these rocks are really elusive, almost like Sasquatch, trying to find the truth here. And you gotta, yeah, duck and dodge and find this, that, and the other, and then find some truths out here that will really rattle your cage. I'm just wondering if you've been down this road and felt some similar things happen, like if you had a certain belief system that was just totally rock to its core. Because I know I have.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable, I mean, you don't have to say so if you don't feel comfortable doing so. But I was just wondering. I was just curious.
When you say a belief system, are you talking about my belief in higher education, or
maybe a higher power?
Okay.
You know, what our existence here on Earth? You know, as the human race goes.
if I'm wrong, I'm going to hell.
Right.
So, wow.
It gets deep around here, brother.
I should have worn boots, dude. I just have socks on.
You need to heat some hip waders, bruh.
No. It's it. Yeah. So I told you about the Moldavite around my neck. I don't know if I told them about it. Wow. So I around before I went to Harvard, I was married. I, I had a great job, you know, 6-figure income, house on the Cape. Which, if you don't know the Cape, it's just a place with expensive houses, but they're not really worth it. Anyway,
Right.
some nice views, but and I started. I'd always had a sensitivity to things. At the time I was married, my wife spent most of her time actually in Boston, and I lived on the Cape. Her job was in Boston. She was going to school in Boston, so she lived up there in a week and would come down to the Cape on the weekends. And I would work all week, and you know, we'd meet at the house on the Cape. But I was alone in that house a lot, and I started to get some really scary, odd things. And so I started to look into it. I started to try and, I don't know, become more attuned, you know, and I was meditating, and I was actually taking some courses on that at, you know, nights at the local college to, there were some really interesting courses, psychology courses and some religious courses. And so I was really getting into that. And I started to have these phenomenally realistic, more than realistic. It was this uber reality, these dreams, bright colors, unbelievable, like experiences. And I remember I had some as a kid. I had them periodically through my life, but they started coming fairly frequently. And yeah, it was really interesting. But I came anyway through all that to kind of a different belief than I was brought up with. I ended up, it was a combination of both this meditation and the fact that I was in high-end sales. And you end up you know, like reading books by like Wallace Wattles and you know, even Zig Ziglar and what's the guy with the chiseled jaw, Tony something, you know.
I know who you talk about. Yeah. I see you talking about.
So when you're in that, a lot of those people who are salespeople, well, Wallace Wattles is way more than a salesperson, but and all these things, they start getting you into ideas of manifesting. You would manifest sales. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
manifested sales. I manifested lots of things. I manifested my ass into Harvard, you know? Um, and I realized this is really good. Maybe Harvard's not the place. I should go start a business in South Florida and start selling fine art. And boom, the next thing I knew, I was there. And I realized this is quite interesting. Um, and it just gets deep like that. But yeah, I have
Mm-hmm.
some interesting beliefs. But if my mom heard it, she'd take her slipper off and beat me with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of stuff, and I don't normally tell people those kind of things, but they're there. I really think that we are the human race as a whole. We're destroyers. The human race individually, we're creators.
Mm-hmm. We are.
And
Mm-hmm.
I there's it goes so deep I don't even know how to explain it in a brief period of time. But I really think that the energy that runs through all things, which is
Mm-hmm.
proven through physics,
Mm-hmm.
uh, runs through us. We're a part of it, and goes into there's really nothing that's solid, and therefore it's just energy. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we can create what we want as we want it, and
I believe so too.
I believe it's very different than rose-colored glasses. Some people
Exactly. Yeah.
have this effect where they believe it and they see it, but they don't realize it. So
Mm-hmm.
they think positive thoughts, but really it goes, I think, so much deeper than that.
It. Mm-hmm.
And
The
and
whole.
I just don't know how to totally explain it. People
The whole.
on DMT and ayahuasca tend to come up with a very similar thing. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
don't do that. I haven't done that. Would I? Yeah. Are you inviting me down? Sure.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but um, yeah, I don't even know how to really explain it in a short period of time. But
The whole manifest destiny thing, and what I think it is where some of the most successful people in the world, like Elon Musk, you look where he came from, where he's at now. He's the richest man in the world, and what did he do? He envisioned it, and I think what it is it's a whole next level of confidence that not everybody has. It's like how in the Bible it says faith can move mountains. Maybe it's just a version of faith to the second to the upteenth level. Like, I'm getting there. This is going to happen. This has happened. It's not this is going to happen. This has happened. I just haven't gotten there yet. You know, and I think that's where it goes. Yeah, that's how a lot of people are able to succeed the way they do.
right, and those books that I mentioned earlier, all of them are on success. The Wallace Waddle books basically are on business and success. And there's another guy whose name I can't think of. Um, but if you really read them, you can apply them. And it's so similar to like Catholicism. Catholicism, the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Um, we're all the Son in that equation. And there are a lot of people, especially in this Bigfoot world, there seem to be a lot of people who have deep faith,
Mm-hmm.
Christian faith, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to, um, like, I'll, I'll admit to you, yep, if you're right, I'm going to hell, and I don't want to poo-poo your faith because I respect faith an
Right.
awful lot,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
but I really believe that the energy that runs through all things is that Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That we are the Son or the offspring, and that there is a greater intelligence in this universe that runs the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we're part of that. It's part of
Mm-hmm.
us,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all tied in together. And it's possible to, if you knew if you knew my financial states and things like that, and you see the things that I'm able to do, Like, I'm not inheriting millions of dollars from anything or anyone. But boy, oh boy, I lived one hell of a life just by saying, I'm going to do this because why not? Who's here to tell me no? I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I'm going to go do this. And I go and do it, and it works. So,
It's amazing how that happens.
yeah. Tony Robbins, the guy with the chiseled jaw.
Yep.
Almost in a, yeah. I'm reading the
Reading chat. Yeah.
reading chat.
I got some amazing peeps that hang out here, man. They're very knowledgeable, and they got their shit together. They really do. So we're at the top of the hour now, so I'm just gonna let her fly from here on out.
Here we go. I'll try and go with an actual conversation. I don't know if I mentioned how ADD I am.
Oh, dude, these
I know you
these
caught
guys,
some of it the other night from me.
It's okay. Look at the other night. I was talking, and I was doing everything off the cuff. Hell, I'm doing that now. But they know. I ramble. I'm like squirrel. I'll be on a tangent, and then all of a sudden I'll just jump to another something. All of a sudden it's like, damn it, man.
My friends call it one of our bikes. Like when you were kids, you just let's play this game. Let's play baseball. Let's ride bikes. You want to ride bikes? Let's ride bikes.
Yeah.
And then you gotta just drop the mitten bat and go ride bikes. Oh, he's telling someone asked what channel I had.
Yeah.
It's actually just under Max Powers, but I jokingly say Max Powers
Bigfoot Hunter. I love that.
It's my friends and I also have this thing where we would introduce ourselves and give our names and then 2 words to describe who we were, or at least 2 syllables. But I was, Max Powers famous artist, Max Powers Bigfoot hunter, a Max Powers American rover. Just 2 words, 2 quick words, lowercase letters in parentheses. So
you might hear my son in the background squalling like a screaming banshee. Just
That's
don't
all
pay
right.
don't pay no attention to him.
That's all right.
Bless his heart.
If it's too quiet, we'll send you to check.
Yeah. That's usually the problem. If he's too quiet, there's something. He's into something. Yeah. But we got to talking earlier about ancient civilizations, and and we're on the subject now of where our origins come from.
Yeah, Ray Daw had asked a question that was related to that earlier. I lost it. It's way up in the feed, but
yeah.
But I meant to make a note of it, but it's not my channel, so I couldn't click on it and light it up.
Oh.
So,
And she asked Max, do you think there was a time in our ancient past when we had answers?
I don't know if it ever got to the point where everyone had answers. Who knows if power took over like it has here, which makes me sound like some kind of conspiracy theorist, and I'm not. I think there are certain people who get it and who monopolize on it. Whether oppression is the key, I'm not really sure. I don't think as individuals we have that in our nature. But I do believe that, rabbit hole, can of worms.
Let's open that fucker up, man.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on, I got a can opener right here.
I firmly believe that there was a or many, and the reason I say or many is because of the Mayan plan of the world and that whole,
Right.
Is it a 26,000 year period of destruction and replenish? So yeah, I think, and Göbekli Tepe, and I say that wrong every time because I'm dyslexic and it's a bunch of letters I'm not used to stuck in a row.
Yeah.
Did I get it right? I know I'm close. Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. I think that's a really interesting site to me. Because having been told to leave the archaeology department at Harvard, it goes back before there's supposed to be anything like that. It goes back to hunter-gatherer days. And this suggests, and Göbekli Tepe suggests an actual civilization with knowledge before there was supposed to be one. So if you go back to that, Göbekli, I like Göbekli. I think the L's in the wrong spot. That's my personal opinion. I know you're right, Ray. But this site is an amazing site. It redates things that the intellectual authorities would never allow us to do. They said, this is the way it is, this is what it is, even though it's supposed to be a science. I was telling Lee earlier, Raven, excuse me. I was telling Raven earlier. It's a good name, man. Telling Raven. You got to say it with a deep voice. I was telling Raven. There you go. It's a little too deep. That was almost demonic, but. Raven.
There you go.
You should be you could have been a singer in one of those like
death metal
bands. Raven. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the hell I was saying. Oh, the redating of sites and all that. We could not dig deeper than Clovis level on digs. And they said it was because you're not going to find anything. That's as deep as it goes. That's the oldest civilization. But clearly it is not. And so, Ray, there's something out there. I don't know what it was. When you look at cultures across the world, how many flood stories are there that date back to about the same date? You listen to people like Dr. Robert Schock from BU, and he will tell you exactly when that is. I do not like the books of like Graham Hancock. Hitchcock? Hancock. Graham
Hancock.
Something Cock. Yeah. Grant something Cock wrote these books. But what he does is he leads you along this amazing road, and you take one step. It's like crossing a river in New Hampshire, at least with me, because there's a bunch of little stones towards the edge that you can walk across, and suddenly you get to the middle and you realize, holy shit, that one's 10 feet away. I'm not going to make it. But that's the way his stories are. He takes you a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. And by the end of the book, I'm like, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not making that jump. So somewhere back there is what I'm saying. Mixed in with all the, these sidebars that I keep taking is probably a great culture with a ton of technologies. I think they probably built the pyramids. I believe there probably is an emerald crystal. I think not that there's a chamber under the Sphinx and that we know about it and they're just not telling us. And I think Zahi Hawass is involved in that.
Oh, yeah.
I think Egypt is probably one of the most powerful countries in the world. I think the number of pyramids on the planet is remarkable. And if you talk to the old school people, they'll say, well, that's how you had to build things. Otherwise, they would fall over. But there's plenty of examples of architecture from way back where things actually did go straight up. So I just, yes, there's something else out there.
We were talking about the Great Pyramids and, how there are still so-called scholars out there who would want you to believe that they were tombs.
Right.
Why is it that it was obviously constructed? It looks as if it was constructed from the inside out. The way it was chambered. These chambers have no markings at all.
Right, and
no hieroglyphs or nothing.
If you go to a burial chamber, you've got a ton of glyphs. Now, people talk about when these glyphs were put in and things like that. A lot of them are carved. Some of them are painted. That has much more to do with the wealth of the pharaoh that commissioned it than it does to do with time, because you can see it bounce all over, the fourth dynasty.
I mean, I know that there were some who were buried in sarcophagus because they weren't able to afford a tomb, and these stone sarcophagus they were lined all around, lid, encasing, and everything in these hieroglyphs and stories. But yeah, I see. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and if you ask archaeologists, when it comes to Egypt, and it comes to places like Pompeii. Now, if you look at a floor in Pompeii, right? Pompeii had a definite lifespan, right?
Yeah,
much more easy to find, much easier to find than Egypt, because we really just don't know. Back to Dr. Robert Schrock. But Pompeii, some floors were these gorgeous mosaics, and some floors were painted. Some walls were carved out and ornate, and some walls were painted. And the painted ones generally belonged to the middle class who wanted to show wealth. Trompe l'oeil, and
Right.
that's where it comes from. So, what do you think of that? Not what I just said, but what Ray said.
Yeah.
That's up under your nose there.
So I put it up there. Yeah. I've heard about that too.
Have you heard about that guy who can remember
I know,
the
right?
Akashic record? I think
Actually, I think I've heard of this guy.
Yeah, I guess there are a few people who are born remembering that.
I've heard something about how a lot of our past is encoded in our DNA. How much of that do you believe?
Insects, have it. Maybe reptiles have it to a certain extent. It's amazing the other animals on the planet. I know this is a thing of yours who, can wake up and start running the next day, after birth.
Right.
The queen's an alien. I mean, the queen is a lizard, apparently. So
that's what they say.
I don't know. I think there's probably something to it. I think that. So, for a little bit of time, I was an art teacher, right? Originally went to art school, yada, 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 before I went for archaeology, anthropology, and ended up in art history. But I was an art teacher. There was a kid, like I want to say he was a second grader, and he remembered his past life. He remembered his life as an old black man sitting on a porch in Ohio on the edge of a highway in the middle of a cornfield. He could remember that. As he got older, those memories faded away. But when he was younger, you could actually talk to him about it. And this kid remembered a past life. This was in a Catholic school, by the way. So those teachers who would kind of ask him questions on the side were not really in good standing. Needless to say, I left and went back to school.
Right.
But this kid was amazing to talk to because this was an area of the country where he didn't know, he'd never been there, and he could remember these things and describe them incredibly. So is there the possibility of that? Is it, right now I'm going from my Mac where everything was on a tower, everything's stored in memory, to a Chrome operating system where everything's kind of up in the cloud.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we have, like our hard drive and then another storage? I don't know. But is it possible? Why not? I think.
It was also, I believe, it was Graham Hancock who also said that we're a species with amnesia. I don't agree with a lot of what Graham says. I follow along with you. It's just for the most part, but I think that statement kind of rings true with me. I mean, you look at how much we don't know about ourselves as a species and how far back our past goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I like I said, I've told you this before that my journey down this road started with looking into Sasquatch and where it come from, what it was, and all that. I think that there's a lot more to us than, who we are today. I think we're capable of so much more.
I would agree, and it goes back to ancient culture. If you look at these ancient cultures, India, which has a very introspective society, like historically, if you go back, meditation, things like that, Hinduism, Buddhism, both existed. They also talk about the gods and what's the word for spaceships that they had? These chariots of the gods.
Chariots.
Yeah. But they were like Ven something.
Oh gosh, I can't remember that.
But when you go to Buddhist culture, you've got the same thing. Just like further. I guess it depends on which way you go, but further east, yeah. And ancient cultures, when you talk about these old religions, they all seem to have those stories. And when we go back to things like the Sumerians and the Assyrians and what is the culture whose name I can't remember? That one, like the
Babylonians.
Perhaps that's them, yes. But it's very interesting to me. So, and the fact that, a certain part of our culture tries to pin it on one book, when a lot of these things are mentioned in a lot of other books, even by the same name, that are much older.
Right.
So, is it someone I'm sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to hurt your brain, but yeah, I got to keep up with Lee.
You got to keep up with me. Shoot, fire. Ain't no way you keeping up. No, I'm keeping up with you, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. But there's just, and when you look at these ancient cultures, there's something's missing. Something happened, and people after that tried to piece shit together. Akkadian, Babylonian.
Akkadian, Babylonian.
See, Ray, that's why we have you here.
I mean, there's so many stories about the Anunnaki.
Yeah. So, when was that? It was like during the Bush administration. For some odd reason, I started tracking Planet X. And you could do it. NASA had a website, and they had a place you could go. They probably still have a website, but they had a place you could go on their website, and it tracked the mathematical position, or it tracked the position of Planet X mathematically. And then somewhere in that time frame, it became password protected. Somewhere like pre-Obama, it became password protected, and you could no longer track this planet out there. Pluto can't exist, so they say, without a major gravitational pull somewhere else in the galaxy. So who knows what's out there? Who knows what we know, and who knows why these kind of things are getting swept under the rug? I think the Russians are going to try and nuke the Ukraine, and I think the aliens are going to sweep down and put this bionic net over, anything that's not Russia. And we'll all live happily ever after. I don't know.
I don't know whether you're joking or not, pal, but I've heard this before from other people who theorize that there are, there are alien species who are actually in contact with Earth, and they're out here to try and save us from ourselves, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know, but it was it was after the nuclear test for the H-bomb, the original atom bomb. Maybe they're two different things, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
That sightings and what have you took off dramatically.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So did that, is that kind of a call out to the universe? You know how like in Star Trek they wait until you have warp drive? Do these aliens just wait until you have nuclear technology? I don't know. And we'll never know.
You think about when the nuclear arms race really started taking off in the late 60s, early 70s, and when we started having these rash of sightings. What was it? It was at 69 that there was this massive UFO over the state capitol in Washington, and there were so many people who saw it. I mean, there's some things you gotta say.
Was it the state capitol in Washington, or was it the state house in Washington? I don't remember, but it's one of them. Regardless, the story still stands.
Right.
You know what I mean? Semantics at this point.
It's semantics at this point, yes.
Well,
true.
And separate locations, but both coastal cities, so... Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's just, it goes back to what is going on out here. And this is something I've been thinking about here a lot lately and trying to delve into. And I'm not saying I'm getting any answers. I'm just asking questions, and I want people to really think. If you can think about it, like
I'm asking a lot from most people.
Thinking, it really is. It really is. For the most part, I usually get a pretty good response out of my peeps here. What else are we being lied to about? And all this we've been talking to is all right, I will just come out and ask you, do you think there is a lid put on the knowledge to keep us from knowing anything more than what we know now?
I don't know. And here's why I don't know.
Okay.
And here's why I try and take everything with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Both sides. Things like what's it called? Is it the Black Knight satellite? Right? People have been talking about this for years. It's why I bought a telescope.
Mm-hmm.
I must have had way more money than I do now, because there's no way in hell I could afford a telescope these days. I've never seen the Black Knight satellite. People talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty good telescope. If I can't see that, does that mean it doesn't exist? No, not necessarily. But I don't have the capability to go out and look for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unless Elon Musk, decides he kind of likes me and is willing to give me a Cybertruck and take me up into space. A Cybertruck's just a sidebar, Elon, but God, I'd love one. So, but if he could take me up into space where I could look and see, A, there is one, or B, there isn't one. But it's one of the two. Is it there or isn't it there?
Mm-hmm.
That's outside of the realm of pretty much anyone on this planet, with the exception of the billionaires, to figure that out. So is it being hidden from us? It's entirely possible. Is the conspiracy on the other side of things feeding us this bullshit information to make us distrust society and lead to the eventual collapse? Well, that's a possibility too. Isn't that why Fox News was invented? Oh, sorry, kids.
It's the opposition, yeah, dude. Yeah, but
you know what I mean.
I don't.
But we won't ever know the answers to those things. So then maybe that was part of that internal journey that I took. If I can't find the answers outside, maybe I can find something inside. I eventually did.
Right.
But who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Did I answer that question? I know that I went off on another friggin' tangent.
No, that's okay. You
Yeah.
do your thing, man.
It's like smacking a horse in the ass.
Woohoo! Hold on, bitch. Oh, yeah. This has been a good conversation, though, man. Got a lot of people stirred up,
Are they stirred
thinking
up?
in
Is
chat.
anyone spitting mad?
No, not yet. There's very few that get spitting mad.
That's too bad, because sometimes I just like to stir shit up.
Sometimes I say stuff that most people will go, but these guys like, yeah, and
Tell me
I'm
more.
like, well, shit.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm surprised that no one's praying for me in the sidebar here because I said because I told my religious beliefs. Usually,
but
anytime I come close to that, people want to pray for me, and that's fine. Great, I probably need it, but
no, we got a great bunch here, man. Look at Ray.
so Ray was talking about her father told her, and he was a biochemist in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to scroll back far enough to see what the hell he told her. So
Oh,
she'll
I think
type
he
it
was
again.
I think he was talking about our conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about how I don't know.
Yeah.
That was 5 minutes ago. I can't remember. Squirrel.
Exactly. Dude, I'm like that all the time, man. I will quote verbatim: "If the general population ever really knew what our government is doing, there'd be another civil war right here on home turf."
Well, give it a couple years.
Yeah.
Whew. So
I mean, I think it. Getting this fighting amongst ourselves is a good distraction. I hate
it
to,
really is. Um, having to get a 2/3 majority and having a two-party system—that's another thing that
think.
kind of fucked up, really, if you do the math.
Yeah,
Well,
put that in your pipe and smoke it. Figure
Yeah.
that one out. How's that going to happen? Getting everything to be bipartisan. Good luck with that.
Not right now. It
No,
used to
hell
happen.
no.
It used to back when politicians drank beer.
Yeah,
Like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill. Let's go have beer and talk about it. And
yeah.
shit got done.
Or get in a fight in the freaking house floor back in the day. Somebody take a cane to somebody. It's like, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
Way back. I love to watch British Parliament like yell at each other and make fun of each other. I think that's great. It's like a bar room without beer.
Yep.
So
I need one right now.
I'm running low on wine.
Oh, hell no.
This is really weird. When I move left, I move right. But is it the same? It is. It's just. It makes perfect sense now. That was only this much wine, so it's not the wine, but.
We're just having fun. Hell with it.
There we go. So. Oh, so what else is up? What else you got up your sleeve there?
I don't
gotta
know,
be.
man.
Like, what is the thing that you have like ideas on deep down inside? Like in this pretty broad subject matter, but you don't talk about because you don't know what the hell these people are gonna say. I know that you have confidence in them, but like, what is the thing that you're scared to talk about, but really would love to talk about?
Religion.
Really?
Because that's a really touchy subject. And, I completely agree with you when you say you don't want to disrupt someone's faith. Faith is a very important thing. Sometimes that faith is the only thing keeping someone centered and grounded.
Absolutely.
And I had mine shaken. And I've told everybody this. I didn't go into detail about it. But, my faith in a certain religion was shaken to the point where I'm like, I don't believe that anymore.
To the point where you don't believe it, or you don't believe the shit's involved in it, because there's a lot of people who manipulate based on religion.
Well,
Any religion.
I don't believe the shit involved in it. I believe in a higher power. I'm not, I do believe there's a God. I've seen too much fantastic shit for there not to be. The fact that we're breathing, walking around, there's got to be something behind it. I don't believe we just spontaneously, just out of nothing, and no one created us. We just evolved into being. I don't believe that for an instant, but I don't believe also that things happen the way it's been said it happened. So that's the controversial part that I don't talk about very often. I don't share that with just everybody.
So yeah, you think that it's more of a parable than is exactly how it. Well, apparently I believe the same thing, and I think that they're just different words for. But there wasn't science at the time. No one knew there was energy between the things. On my end of things, I'm not talking about your end of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, how else are you going to explain it to someone if they don't understand the little details?
Yeah, so, I mean, I understand that a lot of them wrote down what they knew. A lot of these stories that were written down were explained in a fashion of the time. They were explained in a way that they understood it, not exactly how it was. But I also believe, looking further back, that there are stories that mirror other stories that were more recently written, and they're claiming and that this happened. And when you look, if what I'm saying is making any sense, okay, like I'm trying to tiptoe around this. I'm tiptoeing around this.
I'm sorry, this is going to be just a little bit more.
You do you, man. There's more people out here probably need that same swig after I'm saying it.
If you need it, don't touch it.
Right.
But I just kind of like it.
But yeah, to make a long story short, it's just organized religion. How it is. I think that there's been a lot of fabrication that's been involved. Stuff that's been orchestrated and organized for control and subjugation. And it's just been that way for many, many centuries. So,
when you say many, many centuries, are we, get some water, some wine here. I'm a nice Irish Catholic boy from Boston. We talk maybe about a certain city-state.
Kind of.
Okay.
We're looking at let's look at the Vatican, shall we?
Let's look at their basement.
Yeah. 54 miles
of
books.
Shelving
Is it
space.
Shelving or
shelving?
It's shelving. I think it's just shelving. That's what I remember.
Okay.
54 freaking miles, dude.
Yeah. They
That's
know
insane.
some shit. They're not telling us.
Absolutely.
I kind of like the new guy, I don't know if I really do, but he certainly seems nice.
Yeah.
I've never had dinner with him.
No,
but that's the tell right there. Did he salt his food before he tasted it?
Good question.
Beware.
But I'm still on this journey, and I'm still learning shit, though, man. There's a lot that I'm still piecing together.
Neuroplasticity, man, it is necessary in all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That may not be the actual term for it. Ray, is your dad still around to ask him? Sorry, I hope that wasn't distasteful.
What'd she say? An ancient geographical.
Dude, how do you type this fast, Ray?
This is what she does.
Like, does she have the little microphone thing that works instead of it saying weird words and people are like, what the hell are you talking about? That's what mine does. Might be the Boston accent, not entirely sure. But ancient altar. Ooh. You think? That's some potent stuff. My mom would be pissed.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who would be.
Yeah.
I mean, people who just...
Sorry to hear that, Ray.
Yeah. See that?
Do you actually type or do you use a microphone? Because I think it'd be fun to just give you a pair of mittens.
Oh.
But that's just how I have fun. I wouldn't...
Look at it now. No, you're not. We're here. We're here. We're all going to share what we know.
Yeah. And I'm sharing shit that I don't really know. Like,
well, that's
sorry.
true.
These are just hunches. I have ideas. Like
right,
the Bigfoot world.
Right.
Everyone talks about their theories and hypotheses. No one has either of those things. They have ideas.
Exactly. And that's one thing I'll say, and I don't mean to cut you off. That's one thing I will say, that I've never said I know this. Because if I come out and said I know this, that and the third, other than the fact that I know the existence of Sasquatch, I'd be full of shit.
Right.
Because a lot of other stuff is just theory, and
Me too.
I'll freely admit that.
Me too.
I don't.
And I think if you get a group of Bigfooters together, they'll tell you what they know, but none of us really. None of us know.
Right.
We suspect. And that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah. That's it. I've never had a sit-down conversation with one of these people. I don't know.
Yeah, some you just don't want to.
I guess. Yeah. Ray says she's on a real keyboard, not this tablet.
I have a problem with that. My new phone, I just got a Google Pixel. And I can actually feel. It feels like I'm touching keys, even though I'm just touching a screen. I don't know how they did that. It might just be my MS kicking in. I don't know. I agree with that. Long Island Bigfoot.
That's Jeff. Jeff's a great guy. Glad to see you've made it over here, Jeff. Hope things went good for you tonight. He was on another podcast tonight, so yeah, we're all getting around.
You can make the rounds on occasion. I you know what? There aren't many channels that I go on, so.
Well, I'm glad you come here, Max.
Well, I just stopped by to see what you were talking about the other night.
I know. I saw you. I said, well, goddamn. Look at that. He just popped up out the ground. Where you been hiding, dude? And I'm like, and it's, just by any chance, what you doing? Saturday around 8 o'clock. Nothing. You want to come on and chat? Well, sure. That was great.
It was supposed to be an open thing. I saw your little thing saying you're going to do an open. I'm sorry, everybody out there who had questions.
No.
I kind of blew that.
No. Hey, look, everybody. If you've got any questions you want to ask, just go ahead and throw them up in chat and put them in caps so it'd be easy for me to see.
Ray, are you from Boston? Because that's the only way a lot of people can understand me. Speak your language. Maybe she's Swedish. Är du svensk?
I do believe she's actually from Maryland, but you know.
Oh. Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing she can type then. Sorry, hon. Isn't that what they say in Maryland? Is that Maryland? Maybe it's Delaware, but anyway.
Let's see. I'm just looking at chat real quick.
I don't know where. Oh, hey, there was a whole bunch more down here. Gotta scroll every now and then.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it gets stuck if you scroll up and it just stops.
I think I scrolled up and never scrolled back down. Story of my life. So, going down an ocean, hon. See, no, that was like, I suddenly turned Canadian trying to do Ray. Oh, well.
That's great.
So, a lot of stuff touched on so far.
Yeah, we run a gambit, man.
Yeah.
We really did.
Yeah. As a paranormal guy, you.
Mm-hmm.
How do I go about testing my egregore thing? Do you know what I mean? I tried to get these people to talk to me on the, like Amy Bruni and a bunch of other, paranormal people. They don't want to touch us crazy Bigfooters. I'm sorry. Once you expand your mind, right, and accept that there's whatever, ghost, Bigfoot, Dogman, Loch Ness Monster, I don't care.
Right.
Like, how can you rule any of the other people out? Like, listen, I'm a Bigfooter, there's Bigfooter, but the rest of you people suck. You're stupid. Dumb as dumb. Do you know what I mean? How do you just take one of them? If there's a possibility of one of them, there's a possibility of all across the board, right? I didn't give you time to answer the question.
No. That's one of them things that I'd have to look into. How would you test it?
I don't know. I'm very curious. I think there's a way to. It may be related to the EVPs that were picked up on some of the things. I find it very interesting that people watching the videos are hearing these EVPs.
I know, right?
Yeah. Without, I mean, maybe they wear headphones, but they're not like, analyzing it. Like, what is that called? A spectrograph or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
It's all connected. What was that show? Is it on Netflix? Manifest. It's all connected. That was the whole thing. That's all. I gave up watching it because I watched it for like 2 years and they just never told me what actually was being connected.
I know, right?
So
Buck's got it going on methods of transmission, frequencies, wavelengths. He's pretty knowledgeable in that sort of stuff too. We had a big discussion on infrared frequency, and because I got a friend who's had orbs in her house, and these little balls of light that are only perceptible on a motion sensor IR camera. They bounce around. They're not an insect. No. They dance around wander the room in an intelligent fashion. There's one video of hers.
I have never been accused of that. I've wandered a lot.
In
Not
an
necessarily in
intelligent
an
fashion.
intelligent fashion.
But yeah, usually I don't do that either. I'm like,
Mouth breathing.
yeah. Anyway, they said her and her boyfriend enter the room. She has an app on her phone where she can track the movement. Whenever that camera kicks on, it sends a signal to her app, and it pops up. And she's like, "Well, what the hell's going on here?" So her and her boyfriend come over to their business where all this is going on. It's on the upstairs of her business, and they walk in the door. The orb is right by the door, and it moves away from her boyfriend when it comes in, and it's dancing around the room, kind of almost like it's watching them. They turn on the light, and it disappears. You can't see it. They turn the lights back off, and you can see it again. She turns around. She can see her image and the image of the orbs on the screen of her phone. She said, "Oh, it's right here," and she reaches out to touch it, and it moves. It moves. It moves around her. It's crazy.
I bet if it were a dog man, she wouldn't have reached out to touch it.
Absolutely not.
Sorry, Buck. Your job's easier than mine. I'm looking for Bigfoot. You could bring like a bone and just whistle. Sorry, I don't mean that. I just like starting shit some days.
Let's see, what's he say here? Infrasound, electromagnetic wavelengths. I don't know what technology we could acquire as private citizens that could accurately measure that into thousands and beyond in cost. Yeah, you're right, though.
Yeah. Buck, I was only kidding about the dog bone and the whistling. I really feel bad about that now. Yeah, I couldn't afford any of that equipment. Yeah. Yeah. If I didn't have phone insurance, I wouldn't have a new phone.
I know, right?
So. I'd be interested in maybe finding a paranormal person to hook up with to go out and try and figure it out. Are there in fact two separate things? Is the woo incorporated into the whole Bigfoot thing? So. Oh shit. He takes it personally. And Glow, GLO,
shit.
Thank you for subbing. That means that 3 people unsubbed because that's what happens in my channel. There are no steps forward, only 2 steps back.
Yeah, I'm beginning to notice that.
Every time I open my mouth. So when I don't put a video up, I actually get way more viewers than when I start saying. Your bulldog barked at the TV. What did I do? What's it doing now, Ray?
Get us.
Sorry. I'm not getting a -3. That's generally what it is. I like left my channel alone for the longest time. I had like 926 viewers. I started putting these videos up from the swamp in Florida. Mm-hmm. Now I have like 870.
That's nuts.
Well, I told people that it probably wasn't Bigfoot. It was probably a tree falling over. So.
It's amazing. What?
Buck told me that fake barking is going to get me haunted by dogmen.
Oh, shit. No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ray. I really like dogs.
I like dogs, too. That's funny, though.
So, orbs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
I see UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, I'm talking with my hands because I do that. But the cameras, but yeah, I'll switch hands. I see UFOs,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones I see are these like they're high in the sky, so I don't know how big they are, but they're perfectly round, glowing orbs of
Mm-hmm.
cyan light, like a bluish green, very light, very bright, and they zip across the sky.
Yep.
Um, but when you look at some pictures of the orbs that people catch, they're very similar.
I know, right?
So, do you think they're related? I have no idea. And then people talk about Bigfoot and the orbs. Is this all tied in? And someone just didn't tell us. We didn't get the memo.
I don't know. You know, when I was looking into that case I was telling you about, that she had that all that stuff going on, and I remember I told you about her seeing the orbs, and there was the flash in the house, a very bright, brilliant flash, and they both described it as if somebody, flashed a camera. It was like a camera flash, right? That bright and that quick, but it lit up the entire room. I asked them if they experienced any lost time at all. They said they did. But they also mentioned, well, Heather specifically mentioned almost exactly the same thing you've seen. Now, there's a stand of pines probably about a quarter of a mile away from their house. I mean, it's very visible from where they're at. And she said they would come up from behind there, and they'd either go up and hover and take off, or they'd just go up, hover, and then shoot up straight in the air at a phenomenal speed. And I remember you asking me what color they were. And she said they were bright white.
Okay.
So I don't know what the deal is. Maybe they are the same thing you're seeing, as in the orbs that are floating around on the ground.
Mine, I would have to call like UFOs.
Okay.
I see them on the Cape. So
Right. Okay.
I live on Cape Cod in Massachusetts. It's an arm that, never mind, that sticks off Massachusetts, and it looks like an arm shown as muscle. And these things are common down here. And one of my favorite things about the Men in Black is Tommy Lee Jones as the Postman. He was the postman of Truro, which is on Cape Cod. But especially if you talk to, and this is when I first started seeing them, like high school students, there's nothing to do around here. We go to the beach with a six-pack, and you lie on a blanket, and you look up at night at the sky, and you watch these things. And it's I think actually Betty and Barney Hill were also. Do you remember like the first abduction story? They were from Truro, Massachusetts. They were abducted in New Hampshire by Franconia Notch, which is where I go to hunt Bigfoot, which scares me every time I pass. They actually have a sign like this is the spot where Betty and Barney Hill report being
abducted.
But it's like a municipal sign, like entering. It's like that kind of a sign with the little town seal and everything on it. But I that to me is an odd coincidence. But it's just a coincidence.
Right.
But I every time someone describes these orbs or they show you orbs, they're very similar to what I'm calling UFOs. That's all.
They really are. And I can see where you're saying. Well, I see what you're saying.
Tommy Lee Jones Betty and Barney Hill, and me.
That's a hell of a movie, Max.
Oh man. I just need a storyline and a script writer, and I don't know.
Oh, we've done this for almost 2 hours, brother.
I can't believe that. That means you're sick of me. People have told me that before. My wife said one day, "We've been married for almost 7 years." She wasn't counting the 2 we were going to spend in court. But sorry, I'm not bitter though.
I hear you.
At all. I'm damn glad. Best day of my life. Excuse me. Sorry.
Sometimes it is, man, because I know it was one of the best days of my life. When I got those papers, said, "You're done. It's all over with. You can go on with your life now." I'm like, "Yeah, boy."
I remember opening the mail, and I got my very first tuition bill from Harvard and divorce papers. So,
wow,
that was an expensive day.
Damn.
So, sorry.
Fuck.
You guys don't need all this personal shit, but I find it funny in a dark kind of way. So,
yeah, it's funny how shit comes around. Oh,
it is.
Oh. I think it's time to wrap things up, man.
Yeah, we're kind of slowing down.
Yeah.
Which is, I still have wine, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to cap that and put it away.
It's been good talking to you, brother. Would you mind?
It's been great talking to you, because we keep saying, "Oh, we gotta talk. I
know.
And then it doesn't happen. So,
would you be willing to come on again?
I'll come on anytime. And if you want to, have guidelines for me to talk about rather than this pinball ADD thing, I'm good with that. That's why I'd asked you yesterday. I was like, "Listen, should I be writing some words down to keep me on track?" But
fuck that. You go with your feelings, man. It's the most honest way we've got. I mean, we're communicating, we're talking, man, and just sharing ideas. I've shared mine, you share yours, and there's a lot more to get to, I know, and a lot more I'd like to touch on. I still don't. There's subjects I'm getting into right now that I'm just really learning about, and I don't feel confident in my knowledge base of going forward and talking about it myself, because I don't want to, I don't come off like an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
You don't, because you're very insightful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think there's a basis of, you have this background knowledge of things and the way things work, and you have this understanding that, hey, we don't know everything, so let's just put it on the table and talk about it.
Yeah.
Except for that shit that you were just mentioning, of course. But we can change that. We can move on.
Well, we'll do that. So. I'm gonna pull my head out of my ass, I guess.
No. Not saying it was ever up there.
Sometimes I think it is. I get caught up in stuff. So what's he saying here? Uh-oh. Mama Ray done spoke.
She's right. She's right.
I love you, Ray. You know that. She's awesome.
This was like an electric storm of thoughts. Do you see that? Pyromedic? An electric... In other words, they stuck 2 ADD kids in a room and locked the door.
That's pretty much what happened. This is pretty good. Yeah. Pyromedic's a great guy. He had some interesting photographs that he shared with us, and some that made you scratch your head. Just don't know what the hell it was. I got to go back through some of my archive photos and bring them back out, and we'll have to discuss them again. We're talking about orbs. He had some really decent ones, and these things they call rods. You ever heard of them? They're similar to the orb thing phenomena, but they're long, and cylindrical. And he's actually got some photos of those that you can just pretty much say that is not an insect. That's something. That's something else. It's some type of manifestation of energy right there, taking form. It's just I don't know what it is, but it's really neat to look at and theorize what the hell it is.
I like the theorizing.
I do.
I with the Bigfoot stuff lately, what I've been trying to do is get, like I talk about that incremental sciences. Is instead of looking at the whole thing, looking at like glowing red eyes. Well, let's say they have glowing red eyes. Is it bioluminescence? Are they glowing? Is it reflective? Is it from, I forget the name of that membrane that deer and cats and dogs all have that higher primates do not, which would say that it's not eye shine. So I look into red bioluminescence. Well, red bioluminescence exists, just not on a spectrum that we can see. But those are the kind of things, we don't have to get into all that. Those are the kind of things that I ask. And with anytime we have light anomalies, I'd love to have a photographer say, oh, I don't want them to say that's probably this. I want people to say, that's not supernatural, it's this, and here's why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to disprove it, because I firmly, if you've ever seen these kind of things, which I'm sure you have with your own eyes, you know they're there, and it's not, catching the evidence is so much tougher than witnessing the evidence.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't want to disprove anything. I think that if we can find something that stumps these people and get these people to admit, geez, I don't know what the hell that is, that are actually knowledgeable on those subjects, we'll get a lot further than saying, hey, you need to believe in orbs, and you need to believe in UFOs, and you need to believe in Bigfoot. Do you know what I mean?
Heather, this is the lady I was talking about. This is Heather.
How about that?
What I saw over the mountain looked like a UFO, not orbs. Thank you for straightening that out.
Thank you for straightening that out. Did it shed any light? Was it like just over the tree line? Was there a reflection on the trees? I have all kinds of questions now, but I don't want to keep you up all night, dude.
Oh, it's all right.
Do you know what I mean?
This is interesting. This is very interesting. Thank you, Heather. Thank you.
So I saw these orbs twice with witnesses. Probably more than that. Probably, there are probably witnesses who are drinking my beer, which makes them not credible witnesses. But once my wife and I were in bed, and we had this, wall of sliders that looked out over a little bay, and on the other side of that bay was more of a river, off of a bay. Directly across is where the jets from Otis Air Force Base, Otis Air National Guard, I don't know what they call it now. There's a Space Force command center out there. And the jets would take off and go across the sky. They were not super fast because they were this big, so they go across the sky. And one night we were both lying there looking out that window, and a ball of light came out faster than the jets usually do. And it stopped in the middle of the sky. And it dropped and flew up. The reason I'm telling you that is because it illuminated the trees below it.
Wow.
So, and I saw that again on the Cape, on this road called Suicide Alley, where this thing just zipped right over us. And it lit up the trees on the road as it went by. So, no big lights.
I still can't figure that one out. What that is. This is the first time Heather. This is the first time Heather's been in our chat. I'm pretty sure it's the first time she's been. Well, she may have watched the live stream, but she hadn't been in the chat before. Glad to see her here.
It's when you see something like that, it's very hard to tell anyone.
It really is.
It's very hard to come out and say, this is what I saw. In a format like this, it's still tough because even though there are a lot of accepting people, there are a lot of very critical people out here too. Not necessarily
there really is.
Not necessarily in your chat, but just when you're talking about,
well,
Facebook.
you take into account that the people who are watching now are just a portion of the people who actually see the show. Right. And they'll come back and view it later, and there are people who are critical. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she says what I saw was just its own, looked like it was just a light. Sometimes it sits in the trees. Other times it would hover. Sometimes it would go forward, backward, or up and down. Definitely was not a drone. Yeah.
Interesting. Especially, that's one piece of the puzzle. When you lump that in with all the other stuff, that's interesting. Oh, okay, you put that up.
Yeah, I did. So, Heather, did you think this light was living? I'm curious.
I'm curious too, especially after you specifically saying that those other small lights that woman was seeing had an intelligent movement to them.
Mm-hmm. She said, "I'm not sure what that means, but it was fast. When it shot up, it was gone."
That's exactly like the one I saw across the water, across that marsh. It dropped down just like a hair, boom. It was gone up and unbelievably fast.
I've never seen that. I've seen what appeared to be a couple of balls of light when I was a kid on the mountain behind my house, and I couldn't explain it. They had their own illumination, but how a flashlight would normally shed light over an area, these didn't. It was weird. They were bright, but they didn't give off that radiant light. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
And it's it's something like what Ray's saying here. Manifestations have all living sentient plasma glow. That plasma glow is what it was. But I was like, gosh, I might have been maybe 13 if I was that old when it happened. She said something else, but when it hovered, it stayed still like it was watching.
Okay, that implies intelligence. Did here we go. There's more at the button. Just came up.
Yep.
Ooh. Ray, that's exactly what I was going to say. Did you feel like it was watching? Not did Ray feel, but did Heather feel like it was watching?
Yeah.
Because Heather, there is, if you ever get the chance to see one again, there's a very interesting thing called the CE5 Protocol, which is where people who are in places where there's activity like that, and I'm saying they call it UFO activity, so that kind of activity, where they can actually, like we were talking about earlier, think and have it affect. Yes, she felt like it was watching her. See, I think in a case like that, if that happens again, Heather, you should ask in your mind. God, I sound like a nut, don't I? Ask it to do something. Ask it to either move up or to move in a certain direction or way or come closer. Not that you would necessarily want to do that, but there have been studies out there, people doing this where it actually works. A Bigfooter up in Maine, Michael Merchant, does this on camera and can get these things to appear and come by. His are a little different. They're kind of clear with lights inside. I know that sounds odd too, but heck no. Well, you could also tell them to go away right now and see if that works.
That's true. And maybe you can stop all of it by telling them to get the hell out of there.
Right.
And leave you the hell alone. You just want to be
Yeah,
left alone.
I mean, depending on why they're there. If you know, if it's not, Bigfoot related and just some kind of biological being, if it's something out there that has a different purpose, until you know what that is, maybe you don't want them to go. In my opinion. Anything I ever say is my opinion, and opinions are common. We'll say common.
Yeah. Not use my terminology. That's very much more eloquent than what I said.
Well, I've sworn enough tonight, right?
What happened? My share.
So, like the events at Mount Shasta, is there something they didn't tell me? I don't know what happened at Mount Shasta.
Oh. Mount Shasta.
Oh, good. I'm not alone in this. You didn't see any in North Carolina? I'm shocked, because that's where I get a lot of activity there. That print that I showed you today was from North Carolina.
Oh, really?
I was about 8 miles out and alone.
I believe that. I mean, where I was at this past weekend, yeah, it was this time last weekend where I was at. I mean, there's a lot of swampland out there. I mean, swampland. I would have expected to see something like that out there. I can see that. Yeah.
I'll Google that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'll Google it, Ray. That's all I'm saying.
Let's see. She said she'd ask questions, they'd leave. I talk them to death.
It's probably my problem, too.
That's probably right, Ray.
Oh, shit, him again? He'd be gone.
Yeah, screw this. I'm out of here.
Go down in the logs is no intelligent life.
Okay. Let's see.
Ice too. I don't know what that means exactly. He's probably making a reference to something that I said that I can't remember saying because his memory is much better than mine. Oh, okay. Two. I've never read it, never watched it, any of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wondered why that sounded familiar. God, it's been a long, long time since I've seen. Yeah.
Okay. Matt is still here. The paranormal is not necessarily his thing. So
Right.
thanks for sticking around, Central Florida.
Yeah. Thanks for joining in this madness. It's been awesome.
Actually, the people who are out there in that chat would kind of like your apology video. Central Florida Bigfoot came across this. I swear to God, it looks voodoo-ish, Matt. I'm sorry, and I'm going to tell this story now. But it was this, like, combination of sticks and rope and stuff, and it was hanging in a tree over the swamp. And Matt thought, oh, isn't that neat? I'm going to take that home. Well, for multiple reasons, let's just say for some reasons, he took it back to the swamp in a box of salt.
A box of salt, yeah.
So,
yeah. I would never, ever do something like that.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, and then, but he put it back, and like it was by the campsite I was in, and every time we went out in a kayak, I had to go under it. I was like,
God.
But that was where he found it. So. But he made an apology.
Good night, Heather. Thank you. Glad you come on here. It's good talking to you.
Good luck with Bigfoot.
Yeah, good luck with you furry fellas. I'm telling you, she ain't got a whole lot of fear, man. It's she's tough.
I actually would be really interested. There's a kid involved, so.
Yeah.
Given my original experiences with this phenomena, I would love to kind of have a log of any odd things the kid does. You know, like if it opens the window in the middle of the night. Because my window would be wide open. My dad was 6'3". He had to reach up to shut this window. It was a very modern house with tall, thin windows. But he had to reach up to shut it. And that's when he realized, wait a second, this kid couldn't have opened that window that high. So, be interesting to see.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that was a nice little diversion there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is the last thing we talked about together. This is probably about 4 months ago now.
Yeah. I remember that. Like, conversation. Then I was like, should I tell him this? Should I tell him this? I'm like, no, I'll leave him alone.
No.
Because I don't know. These are more, when I tell people, they're more questions that I'm asking, you know? I don't tell out of knowledge. I tell out of, did they do this? Did they do this?
Nice.
And I get excited.
That's what I look for, man, though. That helps me. It really does. Sometimes somebody else asking these questions, well, I don't know. They're thinking outside. Sometimes I won't answer those questions. Sometimes I won't. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. All right. We're going on 2 hours and 20 minutes, brother.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I could talk a hungry dog off a meat wagon.
That's all good, man. That's good. I usually schedule these, for 2 hours because there's only so much I feel that you can cover in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like an hour segment, but it's just something about it just seems too short, and going over that's just a little too long. I mean, I've done a 4-hour one before, but that's not something I want to do on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying?
No. Last Saturday. I was on Matt's channel, Central Florida Bigfoot. We were on for 3 hours, and then we went and talked backstage for like 2 more hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got up at like noon the next day. So. Is this the Raven's Nest? What do you call your group? The Raven?
The Raven. Well, they've kind of named themselves the Raven Clan or the Raven's Nest or something like that. It's usually I usually hear them refer to themselves as the Raven Clan. Other people don't like that too much, but they're my peeps.
There we go.
That's all I say.
Matt, apparently I can't blame it on you because you're not in the chat and it's still just going on and on. It must be me.
You have a good one, Jeff. Glad you stopped by, bro. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to wrap this one up. Like I said, I'd love to have you back on here and talk about other stuff.
I'll come back anytime. I'll talk about anything. You're a good sick of listening to me, though. But, yeah, it's a matter of making sure that I have internet. I don't always have internet because I move around a lot. So
right, I hear you.
If you see leather behind me,
mm-hmm.
I have internet. I mean, well, unless I'm in the rover, then I should have internet, but I don't always. So
I hear you. I hear you.
So
I've had a couple of times when I've had no internet too. They'll tell you the 8 or 9 hour live stream that I wasn't even on. Spooky Morales, how you doing, brother?
Spooky Morales.
And Paranormal Chop Shop. You guys go check out his channel. Check out Pine Island Research too, if you haven't already.
You know, why does that sound familiar to me? Pine Island Research. Where's Pine Island?
It's Michigan, I believe.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot of people.
Max freaking Powers. Who told you to say that? So, on my birthday, when I was out on this last outing in the swamp, I got a T-shirt and it said, "I'm Max fucking Powers, Bigfoot hunter." I can't wear it anywhere because I don't want to offend people.
Right.
But
I'd wear that shit.
When I see Max freaking Powers, that's what I thought of. I was gonna wear it tonight, but thought better of it. Just I still have respect for you, so
I think you're right. Jeff's channel, Pine Island Research.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, all right. We were kind of talking about that earlier too, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's good stuff, man. We got a good thing going on here. You'll notice that everybody here is really receptive to a lot, and I think what it comes down to is a lot of these folks have come to the realization there's more to shit going on than what they've been told, and they're looking for answers just like everybody else is.
That's what we're doing out there. As long as they're out looking for it.
Exactly.
Or there are a lot of people who can't get out there looking for it. So
yeah,
you got to respect that too. But I don't care if we don't agree. If you're out in the woods and you can, or wherever, if you're in haunted houses or what have you, if
Mm-hmm.
you're someplace trying to find evidence of it and you can talk about the evidence that you found, I'm fine with that. I don't care what opinions that you formulate, but you're out there because who knows? All our backgrounds are different.
Right.
All our educations are different. If you're looking for evidence and trying to figure it out, that's a common ground. And I think in these fields, people forget that. People look at our differences, and
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
so
I think that's one of the reasons why we all need to kind of come together because, these differences can make the difference of us, finding the answers or not. Because you got so many different perspectives and points of view.
mm-hmm.
You don't, and this is how I look at it. You don't have to be wearing a white coat and have a bunch of alphabet soups after your name. To know what's what.
No,
Get out there
no.
and do it.
A good example of that is there's a guy who I started watching years ago who still has a channel out there, and he's not super educated, but he's like smart as a whip. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
his vocabulary, the way he tries to dig for things, and he's a very gracious guy, very outgoing guy, but he just has that this guy's not giving you a line of shit. You
right,
know,
right.
I would watch his channel all day, every day,
Mm-hmm.
over any of the, well, maybe not all day, every day, but over any of those, shows on the Travel Channel. Sorry to anyone who may be offended by that, but
No, I get it.
and
Yeah,
and that says a lot. If you find every shred of Bigfoot evidence in one season, you're really fucking good,
yeah.
or you're full of shit. Excuse me.
No, you're right.
Give me the honest truth. Say I've been out here, for 6 months. I haven't found a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Tangent. I'll shut up now, and you can do your Hey guys, thanks for coming.
No, it's all right because I go on a tangent too, man. It's all right, dude. Uh, yeah. I get distracted by chat too because sometimes it carries me over. There's been quite a few times when chat has carried me over probably another hour past the time I wanted to be going.
Well,
But they sparked something and it was like, dude, let's follow this. Where's this going? And like I said, they're seekers too. Just about every last one of them here are seekers in some form or fashion, and they're as much a part of this conversation as we are. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I do. You know what? I think I've become a bit of a cynic, even though I know these things are out there, and I think I oftentimes come across as kind of a dick when it comes to my cynicism, and I don't mean to. I just, again, come the questions.
Oh, dude, I completely get it.
But there are people who take questions as grilling them. Why are you questioning me? There are people who take questions as, yeah, I'll answer that. Let's talk about this. So,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
7.5 more hours.
Buck, you crazy. Wild, Buck Wild. I think that's what Ray decided to call you, bro. Buck Wild. Because he went on an epic rant. He was on here, it was a couple weeks ago. And he went on this epic rant, man. And it was great. Yeah.
Right, every now and then you need to vent, especially at the
yeah.
stupid people.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Don't take offense unless
No,
you're stupid. No, excuse me.
I get.
I'm sorry.
They'll only get mad if the shoe fits.
Right.
No. Sorry. Not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Listen, Dude, stick around here. You'll get all kinds of freaking nicknames. That's how I got stuck with Raven. Everybody started calling me Raven. Everywhere I go, it's Raven. Raven, what are you doing, Raven? Raven. And I was like, okay, I was just Raven.
I told my channel in one of those community posts that I was coming on with the actual Raven tonight.
Oh, so Max, when you coming back? They're already wanting you to come back, dude.
Oh yeah, he made me sign a thing saying that I couldn't be on more than once every so often. So I got to stick to that. So
Shit. Shoot. We need to set up a time to do this shit again. This has been awesome.
I had a ball.
I'm
I'm having a ball, and I may be still having a ball in an hour. Who knows? No.
Right.
Oh goodness! All right.
All right. Now we have officially reached 2.5 hours. Hope you guys are happy.
Well, what else you gonna do on a Friday night?
Oh no, that's true. That's true.
Right? I mean, it's not like there's a pandemic out there or anything. I guess not anymore, right?
No, according to Fauci. Of course, I probably struck the death knell on my channel by saying that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's medical disinformation.
Oh, okay, sure. Anywho.
Anyhow.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here tonight. Max, thank you so much for being here. I've had a fantastic time. It seems like everybody else has had a fantastic time.
I had a ball.
I did. And I want to do this again.
Yeah, you know what? Anytime. I'm probably Memorial Day weekend. I'll head back out in the woods. I'll probably be out there for, I don't know, four months or so. But I do have a signal a lot of the time up there.
So. Oh, yeah. Well, next weekend, I'm going to be on Nana's channel. I'm scheduled to be there if everything goes right. She's going to have a live stream. I'm going to be a guest on there, and we're going to be talking a bit. So whoever's going to be wanting to tune in here next week, go over to Nana's channel and check us out. The Nana Boss Continuum.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I have a confession. Until Tim T's premiere, I had never seen Nana Boss, the name or anything. I apologize. But you popped up last week, and now you're here. Mm-hmm. So she must be all right, huh?
She is. She's great.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Come on by. Yeah, the Nana Boss Continuum. Check out her channel. Check next week, May 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll all be there. The Ravens Outpost Saturday Night Roundtable will not be there. We'll be at the Nana Boss Continuum. Ladies and so everybody, do you want to plug your channel?
Do you want to plug my channel?
Do you want to plug your channel?
Well, so what? So people can unsubscribe? So no! I have a channel. It's called Max Powers. I tick a lot of people off, and I think some people may sub just to unsub later. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll get that too.
Just so they can get my email and write me nasty letters. I'm just trying to find Bigfoot.
Oh no!
I don't have all these other irons in the fire, but I haven't found them yet. Well, I found them, but I just haven't been able to show you that I found them. So that's my channel.
That's mine too. I mean, I've got pictures of this, that, and the third, but no actual Bigfoot saying, "Hey, I'm here." Nope, they ain't got none of that. ladies and gentlemen, it's been an awesome.
I don't know if I hit that or he hit that.
It did its own thing, man. It kicked me out. What?
What?
Damn it. That kicked me out of my own damn stream. Asshole.
Oh no! It kicked me out of your stream. I was like, "Fine, be that way."
Shit.
But can they hear us now? I think we're back in. It says we're still live.
I think so.
Believe it or
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
This isn't the first time this shit happened, though.
You know, when my internet used to be really spotty, I would end up leaving. I think on one of my lives, I left like 2 guests live for like 10 minutes as I tried to get back in. So it's okay though. My subs actually went up. So, so.
Oh, no. All right.
All right.
Now we're going to try this one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been great. Right, like I said, next week, go over to Nana Boss Continuum. That's where we'll be. And until next time, guys, remember, take care of yourself, and I love you, mean it.